Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. Sorry I haven't posted too many videos this week. It has been incredibly busy for me and I have had a lot of things to do. But hopefully this video is nice and interesting and makes up for that. In the background this week, in and amongst everything else that I have been doing, I have been playing the Mass Effect Remaster that just released last week. I won't be reviewing it because I just do not have the time to finish 3 games and get the review done within a fair time frame, but I do love this series. I have played each of them a couple of times before on their original releases, and they always get me thinking. And so I want to do a video on one particular topic within the game that has always fascinated me with regards to the original Mass Effect Trilogy, and that has to do with the major enemy of the series, the Reapers, and their motivations, as well as humanity's desire to fight back against them. I think that this is quite a complex topic worth talking about, because it is easy to just assume that the Reapers are an abject evil. They want to kill all intelligent life on the solar system, and yet you've got to ask, despite that massive goal that they've got, is it really that simple? Is fighting against these Reapers the right thing to do? And to discuss that, we're going to need to first talk about the trolley problem. Now, for those who aren't aware, the trolley problem is a moral philosophy hypothetical puzzle thing that is designed to get you to think through the implications of what, on the surface, might seem like a simple moral question and answer. It works like this. There is a trolley that is racing down a set of train tracks, and a split in the tracks. On the one side, there are 5 people that are tied up to the tracks, and on the other, there is 1 person. None of these people can escape, they are stuck on the tracks. Currently, the trolley is on course to crash into the 5 people. You are standing off to the side, and you have enough time to pull a lever so that the tracks shift, and instead of hitting the 5 people, it hits the 1 instead. The big question here is, do you pull that lever? Because if you do, you are actively causing harm to a person. You save 5 people, but you are actively being part of the harming of that 1 person. If you don't pull the lever, 5 people will be harmed instead, but then the question is, are you responsible or obliged to assist in a situation that, until you make yourself a participant, does not involve you? Entire books have been written about this hypothetical. It is one of the most common discussion points in moral philosophy, and it is just a fun kind of dinner table conversation to have anyway. But we're not here to talk about that problem in particular. You can always let me know your thoughts in the comments, but we're here to talk about the Reapers and Mass Effect. We will get to the relevance of the trolley problem soon, I promise. But to get back to the Reapers, so as people who have played Mass Effect know, and I do assume that anybody watching this video has played the Mass Effect games, the Reapers arrive every 50,000 years or so to purge the solar system of intelligent life. They then disappear back off to dark space where they came from, and the lesser, currently non-intelligent life has the next 50,000 years to develop sentience and intelligence. In this way, the Reapers aren't so much an existential threat to the solar system because existence continues, it's more that they are enforcing a phoenix immolation and rebirth of intelligence. They force a couple of species to die, and from those ashes, the next round of species emerge. Now, the Phoenix is not considered a force of evil in any culture that it appears in, so you have to wonder then, is it really true, the assumption that the Reapers are a force of evil themselves? Now, to add to that, let's ask another question. Why, with all these stars and planets in the galaxy, in the real world we're talking about here, why haven't we met any aliens yet? One would assume that if there is other intelligent life across the billions of planets in the solar system, then there should be at least some of those intelligent life forms that have an even greater level of intelligence, and they would have cracked space travel by now. In other words, there is the big question about why we haven't met intelligent life forms from outer space, given that we have to assume that we're not the most intelligent life form. Why have they not come to us yet? There are more than a few possible answers to this, and none of them are right because obviously we don't know. But one that a fair few scientists have thrown their weight behind is the idea that once a species reaches a certain degree of advancement, they end up destroying themselves. The growing need for resources to fuel development within that species eventually becomes unsustainable, and the intelligent species effectively triggers the collapse of their own planet. This idea is fairly credible because we can see it happening on our own planet. It would seem that humanity is doing that to themselves. Just as we hit the point that we're starting to look to space travel, we are also on the precipice of ecological disaster via climate change, and whether humanity survives that or not is very much up for debate. The thing is, though, if this was to eventuate, we would not just be taking ourselves out. We would also be killing millions of other species of animals in the process. In fact, we are killing millions of species of animals right now. And that is where all of this comes together, the Trolley Problem, the Reapers, and Mass Effect. Remember, the Reapers would leave every other species on Earth alone in this purge. Which means, to talk about the Trolley Problem, are the Reapers simply deciding to pull on the lever to save millions of species at the cost of one. Furthermore, now that humanity and various other species are colonizing and exploiting other planets beyond the home planet, are the Reapers preventing a solar system-wide expansion of the most intelligent and resource-hungry species and preventing them from destroying the entire solar system in their endless appetite for resources? Now, there are a couple of other factors to consider here as well. Firstly, the Reapers are not malicious about what they're doing. They are synthetics that are acting according to their programming. This, however, does raise the question about who coded them and whether the assumptions that they were making when they did the coding were accurate. But what it does mean is that the Reapers, in pulling that lever, potentially are not making an active decision, which was a big part of the Trolley Problem. Do you make an active decision to kill one person in order to save 5? The Reapers aren't making an active decision, which does change the texture of the problem a bit. Secondly, the Reapers don't just destroy, they absorb. Each intelligent species that the Reapers purge gets harvested in such a way that there is knowledge transfer back to the Reapers. So in a way, the Reapers are actually preserving the culture, history, and heritage of all those that they purge. If the hypothetical is true that these intelligent species are inevitably going to destroy themselves, then the Reapers are actually doing a better job to preserve those species than they would do themselves. Now, of course, for everything that I've just said, BioWare clearly wants us to fight back against the Reapers. It wouldn't be much of a game otherwise. They are the most horrible of sinister aliens to look at, and those that they harvest get turned into what can only be called monsters. It's a little like Star Trek's Borg in that way. We're meant to be terrified about what they do to our free will and capacity for determination, and so BioWare's writers and artists make it very clear that we should want to fight back against these entities. My own take on it is that the fighting back is justified, however it is also quite selfish. There's a variation of the Trolley Problem that recasts the 5 people as innocent victims. So rather than just being victims, they are innocent, and you know that they are, fundamentally good, innocent people. The one person on the other side of the tracks is a villain, and you know that they are a villain. So suddenly the hypothetical becomes heavily in favor of turning the lever and hitting the one person rather than the 5, because it's not only a moral good to save 5 people, it's also a moral good to defeat evil. So the cost of 1 life in the service of 2 goods is a net win. Humanity and the other intelligent species in Mass Effect might not become the villain, and that is important. Precedent within Mass Effect's canon suggests that in all likelihood they would, but to purge based on the potential to destroy, when there is also the potential for these intelligent species to save the solar system and shepherd it responsibly, makes the Reapers' decision as such to pull the hypothetical lever much more difficult to justify. So on that account, I do believe it is quite justified to fight back against these Reapers. We haven't done anything wrong at the point in time in Mass Effect's canon that the Reapers show up. But again, on the other hand, because there's a lot of hands, this is a very kind of complex discussion with a lot of different angles that you can take. So on another hand, humanity has proven itself to be very bad at learning from existential threats in the past. And there's no indication within Mass Effect that we've evolved an intelligence that allows us to take the Reapers as a lesson on sustainability. I would have to say that the probability, as presented in Mass Effect, that the trolley cart crashes into 5 if humanity beats the Reapers is quite high. So if in effect we are fighting against the Reapers to stop them from pulling the lever, knowing full well that it would hit the 5 people instead. And that is fundamentally quite selfish. Anyhow, that is enough for this video. This was a short thought experiment. I'd love to hear your own thoughts in the comments. I've had some great debates with people about this over many years with Mass Effect, because I do not believe the Reapers are an inherent evil or an abject horror. And that's what makes them so interesting. That is why Mass Effect is such an interesting game, because it has a more nuanced take on what the villain is as such. So do let me know your own thoughts in the comments. In the meantime, please do click that like and subscribe button if you enjoy my videos. That way, the next time I put up a thought experiment, you will see it straight away. And if you do enjoy my work, please consider backing me on Patreon, because you can do so for even $1 a month or more if you are feeling generous. And in doing so, you are supporting everything that I'm doing with digitallydownloaded.net. You also get a magazine. We have started publishing a monthly digital magazine for people who back us on Patreon. You get that if you pledge any amount whatsoever, and it is a pretty good magazine. The first full issue went up this month. It's a 48-page thing, lots of interesting things to read in there, and that is my little thank you for all the Patreon backers. So anyway, that's it. Video done. Let's have a good week, and we'll see you at the next one.